Hello, hello. How's it going? Uh, we are gonna give it a round two today. We started on last week looking at the upgrade for Tauri docks. Vitor has been working on it, but there's some complications with the sidebar that's been making the upgrade difficult. So, last week we picked it up and we're chipping away at it a little bit. I made a little bit of progress off stream, but not quite enough to open up a PR and like help push it forward. So I decided to just give it another go. So we're kind of picking up where we left off last week, and I think this is going to involve more specifically like Astro and Starlight rather than necessarily the integration that we have in Tauri Docs, but we'll probably look at a couple of different doc sites and see what other people are doing and seeing, because I imagine this is a common use case. So I'm hoping to basically like cut off some of our maintenance burden if we can sort of just like use what everybody else is using in some ways. But we're gonna take a look at that today. Yeah, I guess we kind of just jump right into it. Classes today, right? It's been it's been a week. uh, yes, kiddos have gotten sick, and summer's here, so all the busy stuff that comes with that. What can you do? All right, we're gonna see if we can make a little headway. We'll hop on over. I don't. I haven't found a like a perfect solution to this yet, but it feels like there should be one, which is part of the thing that's sort of like bothering me on this. Okay, so if we go, I guess, what are we in? We're doing PNMP, I think. So let's, nope, not cat. We're gonna bat the package JSON, and we run astrodev, or we run PNMP run dev. PNMP run dev. Okay. So we have things rendering at least, in part because I just ripped out a bunch of stuff that seems like they've taken it further, or the integration is better, or what we were doing wasn't that much on top of it. So part of it is if we collapse all these little bits here, why is okay? Why aren't you going down? Let's restart it. Hopefully, that was weird. I thought it went all the way down. Or where's the little maybe this is updated, and that's all that I have changed. I thought there was more here that I changed. We had like the table of contents and the like some of this I believe comes out of the fact that okay, so I guess what we're doing here isn't too deep. We're tweaking the nav just a little bit. And doing some potentially work with collapsing. I'm not sure what like I haven't specifically noticed what we're doing with the table of contents. I think more of the integration was in this table contents list. And we were doing a little bit with like mobile, etc., etc. But honestly, I don't know how much of that is worth the effort. I think there's potentially some linking in there, maybe. But from what I can tell, it seems like by going back to Starlight and just upgrading, we might have actually just gotten that. Like they might have just added it directly to the like default component or the base components. So we might be able to just save a little bit of effort by using what they have. And then the page frame and we'll have to come back to the features. I think we actually do still want the features. I haven't actually double checked on that. But the page frame was mostly so we could pull in this special sidebar here. I'm hoping that we can just use an integration or something like that that handles like the whole sidebar for us, so we don't have to like muck around with it too much, because that's been a big part of the pain in upgrading. Is every time we touch this, we need to like double check this code. So part of it is styles, which fair. I'm suspecting that we will have some custom styles, but also like how much is that actually giving us? The big thing is like the content in the sidebar, and then the like the bits up here. So in the sidebar here, right now I have where this is just like rendering all of the content. So if I refresh this and I click between these, blog is separate and it shows all the pieces. And I actually kind of like that we also include like the authors list here. Interesting that 404 is, but on the guides and the references, it's including all of them, including the whole like blog section too. So we do need to deal with that, and like remove that. But like this all looks the same and it has all the links and everything for us. So I don't know that we need to maintain that stuff anymore. So like there's potentially some custom stuff that we have going on here that we can look at. But it looks, I don't know which one of these is the actual here. This is the currently deployed site. So that little hash mark symbol puts this into the URL, which then allows you to link directly to that, like a section. And I think it's built in now, because if you hover over this, you get this little symbol, which is different. So I think we can just delete a bunch of the code that we have and that we're maintaining, which is honestly, I think a positive. It's doing more for us. Well, like when we started using Starlight, it was still pretty new, and it's evolved. And at least my expectation is that with that evolution, we can now benefit from that evolution, essentially. So it's just this little bit of sidebar stuff that we have to deal with. And what I was doing, you can see a bunch of logs that are just showing up here. I also have a couple other plugins that are that I've opened in these other tabs, like additional options. I don't like this little thing up at the top. I mean, I'm okay with it. Like it looks fine to me. But I don't know that it's worth all the effort in trying to maintain it if we're going to have a whole ton of extra code to deal with it. But I think we can delete a lot of it. I don't know how much of it is actually directly associated with this. So we'll have to like figure that out a little bit. But what I was doing was logging out the information in the sidebar. In specific, we had this sidebar, and actually, did I think I added this sidebar file in part because I wanted to log out this value, because I wanted to specifically see what was happening when we went between the pages and what this one plugin that we have is doing. And you can see that there's a couple groups here. We have blog, references, guides. Do we have 2 blogs? That's interesting. So when I click through these, scroll, scroll, scroll. There we go. Okay, we're at the bottom. All right. So when I click through these, why is it not scrolling anymore? It like stopped scrolling on me. If you go to the blog, it has its own like section, its own handling of it. It is interesting that this is like logging out twice. I don't quite know or understand the context with that. But this, I am quite certain, is coming specifically from this other plugin that we have. So we kind of need to figure out like what is the mishmash of plugins that we can use to like set up the sidebar in the way that we'd like to see. So we had this Starlight blog. This person, where's their GitHub? This person has done a handful of plugins. I mean, in a bunch of different areas, but they've got a they don't even have them pinned. They have Starlight blog, which is what we pulled in, and then there's also the Starlight auto sidebar and the Starlight sidebar topics. All 3 of those, yes, are by this same person or under their like personal org or whatever you would call it. Some of them don't seem to play perfectly well with each other, but they all do things that are potentially interesting. And so the Starlight blog, I like how they do it. Like this feels nice to me. The tags and the recent posts. And I don't know that we need featured posts, but the recent post tags and authors and RSS all feel good to me. And we do potentially want to pull in an RSS. I think there's benefit there, especially since I don't think it's too involved with or involved to do when you're using Starlight. But that only does the blog section or the blog page. So like that works for this. We also need to deal with guides and references. So that's why I was looking at this auto sidebar or the sidebar topics. And part of like it seems like they've handled some of these use cases. So part of it is like it potentially checks the boxes that we want checked, but also I have a little bit of an expectation that these things would work together, which is part of the issue that we're running into right now. Is because it feels like we have 2 or 3 plugins that are all sort of like competing for the same real estate. So that being said, we have sidebar topics, which does this. I honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. I don't dislike it. I don't feel like we have to support that, or like it doesn't feel like that's needed. This one is a little bit more generic, but I think this one's a little bit newer. So you set up the auto sidebar. Um, and then this is mostly what you'll do to control it is you have a metadata YAML, which I don't hate. So like this could potentially work. You can hide auto-generated sidebar group directories. So like that's sort of what we want to do, but dependent on the page. And I think that's sort of the kicker here is the like we kind of want to do this, but it's also like sort of based on the page. We do want to manually specify the order. We are kind of doing some of that right now. It would be nice to do it in a different way. Like the way that we have it right now is just a big entry in the config, which isn't like entirely composable or anything. It's just a little bit awkward, especially when we start looking at doing the translations with like once you throw in translations to all this, it adds an order of complexity. The badges would be nice, honestly. I don't know if we have support for that. I think we had some badges in there at some point. I don't know that we actually have any badges anymore. And I think that is in part due to the fact that we removed it because it was getting too difficult to maintain. I'm pretty sure I saw badges at one point though. I think badges would like it feels like such a little thing, but like the badges feel like a way to help keep things fresh. You can call attention to bits that have been touched or updated or tweaked since the last push. I think there's potentially value in that. So the question becomes, if we do want to keep Starlight blog, can we use either of these? And I think the answer is maybe ish, but it doesn't like this one seems to be the closest. But the problem also is that like if you can see the URL, we're in the docs section. We're in that means we're in the /docs pages. If we click on the demo, then we're in the demo section. And then this is just an external reference. And that works, but then also the problem is that our guides are like a top level thing. The references is the only bit that's actually, if we go back here. So like we have a quick start. So these are nested within these top level sections. And then our references section is not, which so like reference JavaScript. So they are, but they have this like initial nesting of /reference. So anything in /reference or anything in /blog is under these like other subsections. Otherwise, guide is like a top level piece, which I think is going to make using this difficult because it seems highly reliant on the fact that yeah, it seems kind of reliant on this. I mean, maybe we'll potentially give it a try. We want to give a quick look though to the list of community plug. No, I want to look at site showcase. I want to see if we can pull up one or two examples that might potentially be doing some of this already, in which case we could see how they're handling it. So I pulled up NIP. I'm kind of looking through this list just to get to pull a couple that I recognize, and I in part because if I recognize it, it likely means that there's some level of if I recognize that there's like some level of like expectation on my part that they've to do like advanced sidebar stuff potentially takes somebody putting a lot of time into it. So if I recognize the repo or the library, um, there's a chance that it also means that they've put a whole bunch of effort into maintaining it, and hopefully that also means that it comes across in how they do or like the effort that they put into their site. I mean, lots of assumptions there, but also like it doesn't seem to be holding true. So like this one is very much just like it's not quite to the point where it's big enough where they need separate sidebars. So this is not surprising. Free Code Camp. Okay, they're only doing like one sidebar too. I know Astro has a setup that's kind of like this, but also I looked at that already, and I know that they're doing things a little bit more custom already. And I would like to get away from having to do stuff custom if we can. Anything else that jumps out? Font awesome, mate. Snip card integration. I'm also kind of looking at the like the headers. If they have a custom header or more information in the header, that let's give that one an open. I'm hoping that okay, so like this one. It has some links up at the okay, I don't want to deal with that. Docs. Yeah, okay. So this is very much just a default setup. Okay, I'm not seeing anything there either. Font awesome, view the docs. Yeah, all of these are in this case what they're doing is they're collapsing to give to make it a little bit more easy to navigate this, which is fine. But it doesn't have the like the differentiation that we're looking for. Where's the okay, I guess they got like subsites. Velocity. Okay, so this one is actually doing they've got like fully separate projects. Can we look at their docs? Built with Starlight. Paper MC velocity. Okay, we might have to look at the Paper MC like overall repo. Here we go. Docs. All right. What are they doing? What are they doing? Nope. Okay, Starlight sidebar topics. Starlight sidebar topics. Okay, so they're doing this one, I think. Which actually Starlight sidebar topics drop down. Okay, is there an additional plugin here too? Head generator. Because honestly, I don't dislike this functionality. Where, okay, did I? Um, looks like I closed it. Docs, close this. Like I don't dislike this. I actually don't mind that at all, and I think that's pretty close to what we were doing ish. And potentially we could do a little bit more like differentiation. So the like releases and references or something like that could be separated out potentially. Uh, but that's a whole separate thing. So that do they have a? They don't also do a docs. So if we are sort of like going down this route, what's our configuration options look like? Array of topics to display in the sidebar can either represent a section of your documentation or a direct link. Okay. Items. And then we got this like auto generated. So the part of I think what we were running into was okay, so there is an exclude. There is an exclude. We could maybe make this work. And a glob pattern. I think we're gonna give this a go. Um what else do they got in here? Contributor list, sure. Starlight, TypeScript. Okay. Let's see if we can see. Actually, what's their config look like? Astro config. Integrations. They've got. Okay. So their Starlight socials, edit custom CSS, sure. Components. Okay, so they do have a custom page frame. So we'll want to double and a custom sidebar. So they are still doing some overriding, which is a little unfortunate, but I mean, we can potentially work with that. Hi. Kitty is looking at my green screen. And this is the problem. Like, I feel like a couple of these get very close to what we want. But then they end up, it doesn't quite meet expectations or needs or the intent. And then you end up doing this kind of stuff where it's like, okay, well, let's go. Let's just do a completely custom topics drop down. So now they've got their own. But honestly, like this doesn't feel too bad. I don't know exactly what they're doing here. Like, what is the? Okay. Please stop looking at the green screen. What exactly is the use case here? There must be some additional bits that they have in here. And then there's a mobile menu toggle. That's the other bit too. We'll need to look at how we were doing mobile and any changes that we make. What does it then look like? And then the other bit so they're doing page frame and they were doing. Actually, what does the content dot config look like? Okay, define collection. Okay. So part of it is they are not using this blog plugin, which is fine. In theory, they could work together. Svelte D2 topics. So they got a bunch of stuff excluded. Okay, it does still point to the Astro JS sidebar. Okay, so they're overriding the topics with their drop. Okay, so they're pulling in and using Starlight sidebar topics, but not actually using it. Okay. All right. Well, let's look at these two. There is this. It is still kind of a new thing that they've just bootstrapped. Yeah, and the problem is like this doesn't seem to work very well with others at the moment. So potentially this auto sidebar might be a little bit of a more involved road. It is though interesting that we have this control via the meta YAML. But I don't know if we'd be able to do it in a way that we could handle it like by page. If we look at, let's see, cascading metadata and using metadata. So we can update the label. So like with the auto generation, we can update the label. Metadata reference is what we actually want. Label, badge, collapsed, ordered, sort, and hidden. So hidden just prevents it from being included. But hidden to what? Like depending on the page, we potentially want different. I think we're gonna have to look at the sidebar topics. And honestly, like if this is what we need to go with up at the top here, fine. So let's give this a shot and just see what we're working with here. So we'll go ahead and add it to our package JSON. And here's to hoping that it works well with their other plugin. Where is it? Blog. Here we go. Blog. I'm gonna just put it right underneath the blog. Well, actually, no. I'll put it right above it. And we need to then add it as a dependency. We're gonna go into here and do some of this. Okay, and stop PNMP, PN, PN, PM. I don't know why I have such trouble saying that every time. Okay, we'll give that a go. We've updated Astro RSS. Sure, that's fine. Then we added this other one. So now we'll go ahead and just run it again. I have a suspicion I'll probably need to pull out the sidebar. I'm actually going to do this, so I'm not referencing it. Like ideally, I just want to be able to control everything through this. So the other problem is, even if we get the sidebar thing working, we still do also need to consider international pages. That's going to be potentially a whole separate issue. It seems like we still have one of the more involved setups. And presuming that's the case, we're going to we might not be able to get away with having to handle this ourselves. I mean, honestly, like this might end up coming into a maybe we try to push some of this work into a separate plugin. What do you need? Hi, come on up. Say hi. Come on. She's being shy. Come up. There we go. Man, my I got out rock climbing. I took the our youngest and we went rock climbing at a local gym, and this motion and I did this and I'm like, oh, my forearms. Oh, I forgot. I'm still sore. Uh okay. The and you're gone. All right. Ugh. So if we do this, it's basically telling us to remove our sidebar config, which could be problematic, in part because the I think we're dependent on that for the translation stuff. All right, I'm gonna put it underneath. I don't know if the ordering of this matters, but I'm gonna put it underneath there. So we this is probably gonna throw errors, so we'll have to tweak that config a little bit. But if we look at our content docs, we have a reference folder, so this could potentially start to work. I think it said we could do globs. So if we do this, we'll see. I don't know what this is going to look like. We'll just do plugin. Let's just start with plugin. We'll say plugin, and let's just see what happens. We'll see what the, because if this, so part of it is like, does this work? But also part of it is going to be like, does this work with all of our other setups? Yeah, okay, sure. Try that. What do you think of that? Are you cool with that? The slug reference. Okay. How does it do the folders? So there's an items. I'm assuming it's from the root of docs. And we do have a reference folder. So I think that should work. The slug reference specified in the Starlight sidebar config does not exist. Where is it throwing an error? Utils navigation. Oh. Okay, nope. Definitely is not definitely not as working, at least like right out of the box with this. It did say remove the sidebar config. We did do that. I shifted it over into sidebar topics. If we maybe we just take out the reference for this moment, and we just stick with and see what happens if we just put in the base. Failed to find the topic for the 404 page. Okay, let's look at the config. Topics configuration goes here. Plugin configuration goes here. Optional. Sure. So topic configuration would be like this. And we have items, we have an auto generate, we have, maybe that's like specific items, guides, concepts. We can maybe try this auto generate. Hey Nicola, good to see you. Good to see you. Good insert time of day. Right. Oh, sorry. Kicking the kitty. Well, not really kicking, but I bumped the kitty very gently. Label and auto generate. Label and auto generate. So if I swap out instead this for this plugin, what does that look like? And then there's the topic redirecting to the Starlight. Okay. Okay, so it takes two args potentially, an array and then an object. So here we have an array. So okay, so there's guides and then there's Starlight docs. That makes sense. Link items ID. What does it say about items? A sidebar navigation items. There's like subsections in tier 2. So we could potentially do some auto generate type things as well. And then the configuration is the exclude and the topics. A map of topic, like this might be the piece that we need to do. We might need to look at that, but like, okay, are we getting anything rendering right now? Learn more in the following guides. Unlisted pages, excluded pages. Either include this page in the sidebar configuration. Okay. So if I'm doing reference, oh no, I'm doing the plugin. What is this 404? Oh, it's saying this is what's throwing the error. So how is it doing the... Okay, link. Let's just take out the link. Icon is probably fine. Auto-generate directory plugin. Like, what if we just exclude everything else for the moment? Or I guess we can, like, what does this topic look like? See the unlisted pages guide to learn how to associate pages with a specific topic. So a topic is a map of topic identifiers to a list of pages or glob patterns to be associated with that. Okay. So the following example associates all pages under reference API directory with the reference topic. Okay, so we have an ID, which then designates it as this. So is there an, I guess there is an exclude. I mean like this. Okay, let's put in the exclude, and we'll just dump some stuff in the exclude and see what happens. Hi kitty, what do you need? Okay, exclude, because we definitely do not need the blog in there. What do you need? Coming up. Okay, so that 404 is still showing up. Okay, you're scratching me. What? Oh, kitty. So like if we just do this, I don't really care about the 404 right now. So just ignore it. Sure, that's fine. Or honestly, like at this point, I'm just going to delete it so I can get something to render and we can come back to it. The provided plugin configuration is invalid. Okay, it doesn't seem to like that for some reason. All right, let's just go away. Goodbye. Render something for me, please. Okay, entry docs 404 was not fine. Sure, whatever, that's fine. Just trying to get something to render and open right now. Failed to find the topic for the start page. So it is definitely looking at, like I don't have, do I have a start page? Ooh, it's just like harder now. Error when evaluating SSR module. The provided plugin configuration is invalid. Oh, just not even help me out here, eh? Guides, directories, plugin. So I guess the other bit too is we have auto-generated groups, but then we also have items. Like what is the, okay, unlisted pages. By default, plugin expects that every content page in your project is associated with a topic. Okay. However, there are cases where you may want to have a content page that is not listed in any topic sidebar while still displaying the sidebar with specific. Okay, that's a lot of words. So use the topic from matter field. Unlisted pages can be associated with a specific topic by using topic from matter. Okay. To add support for unlisted content pages. So this actually feels really nice. Associated page with a topic. Okay. Like this tells me that we might be able to do this like weird nested kind of thing that we have going on. Like references is behind a URL, whereas the docs is not. And that is making our life a little bit making things a little bit complex here. Associate custom pages with the guide's topic. Okay, so these aren't like I'm guessing these are not ones that are like in the content folder or markdown. So we might not actually need to do that. We do want this exclude because I want to exclude the slash docs. Excluded pages. What does that look like? To exclude some pages from any topic. For example, given the above configuration following file structure. Okay, so in this case, it's a specific page. It's saying, hey, this page should okay, so a specific Starlight page can have its own specific sidebar. So this is something that we can potentially do for, like we might still be able to use that blog plugin, but this like we might be able to do for releases or something, where we have more specific like requirements. What do you need? Attention? Come on up. Come say hi. Come on. Come on up. I don't know if you can hear it. she will meow in response. Almost like you know, like cats don't meow to each other is my understanding. It's only like a human to cat thing. But if I say things to her, she meows back. And she has different meows for different situations. Like the tone changes. It's kind of fun. And this is the I want attention meow. Right? Coming up then. Thank you. I don't want to be bending over the whole time. Okay. We'll do the left-handed scroll so I can pet the cat with the right hand here. And we're probably gonna have to like get rid of some cat hair here in a second and rip my black shirt. Oh well. Can you say hi? Meow. All right. She's rubbing her face on the hand that is currently trying to use the mouse, which makes things very difficult. Here, go over here. Cat hair everywhere. All right, custom topic list. Okay, it overrides this Starlight built-in sidebar component. Okay. It also exposes a route data object that contains all the information required to render a custom topic list in your project. Got it. So if we make a couple topic lists, we might be able to do. Okay. Oh, hi. Yes. We might be able to have like a little bit more control over it, because if we can like dump things in topics, that actually feels like it will. There we go. Will be beneficial. This cat is very needy right now. Okay, so we got kind of two options, it looks like, as far as including items in a sidebar or topic. A topic can represent either a section of your documentation with its own sidebar configuration. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. So each topic will have its own sidebar, which is what I think we want. And if we can decouple that a little bit, so like the link, if the link allows us to sort of like decouple the like page file structure a little bit from what is actually ends up defining like the URLs, that might give us a little bit of a flexibility here too. So we can use it expects that every content page in your project is associated with the topic. This is done by including the content page in a topic sidebar configuration. Okay. To associated unlisted pages with a specific topic. So we can either use front matter or we can use the topics configuration. Okay. Oh, and this is like a specific page. So in this case, we have said that the support.md is associated with guides. So visiting the guides concepts, courses, or support pages will all display the sidebar of the guides topic. Guides, concepts, and courses are explicitly listed in the guides topic sidebar. Okay. Here and here. But then this one, it's not listed. So then we handle that through the topic guides from matter entry. Okay. But it is specifically pointing at a specific item, which means that we would need to describe everyone unless we're doing the auto-generated, is my understanding. And I don't think we want to. I think we want to try to do the auto-generated. So if we have this, we are pointing to that specific directory to auto-generate. So if I say directory, what if I just do this? I have no idea if this is going to work. but let's give that a shot. If I just say auto generate based off of all of them and just put them all under guides. Do not like that. Okay. All right. We are going to no, don't worry. I'm just gonna delete all of these for the moment, and we can always undo pieces and bits as we understand what is actually going on here. I guess let's just try to do the plugin. We'll leave a couple folders in here. Fragments, about, blog. I want to leave the blog in here because that is going to come into play potentially. Sure. Go away. That makes our lives a little bit easier. So if I'm saying exclude, and I'm hoping that Starlight blog will handle the /blog pages, we can say exclude the blog, ignore that for the moment, and then auto generate based off of a directory. But the problem is the directory is like the top level bit. So if I say new folder guides, this is potentially going to start to muck around with the translation too, which is a whole separate thing we might potentially need to deal with, but let's see if we can try to tackle one thing at a time. So if we say guides, and in part because I want I guess I want the URL. There was a URL value, right? Link items ID guides. I probably want the ID in there. And icon is fine, badge is fine. Oh, link. Yeah, link. Okay. All right. I want the link to be this. Programming class ID. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Is this gonna work? Well, I guess we'll find out. I'm still skeptical that if we get something like this to work, if our it didn't okay. I was about to say it didn't like explode. That's something at least. Start. Okay. So what if we say guides? Oh, here. Let's just take that off for the moment. I honestly like. Where's our service worker? We don't really need that either. I don't think it's honestly going to make that big of a deal. I mean, potentially it could be a thing that would be nice, but like if that's also going to get in the way for upgrades and stuff, I am honestly perfectly just fine taking out for the moment. Okay, integrations, Starlight plugins. Okay, so this is specifically in the Starlight plugins. We're good. Confirming that is the case. Oi. Invalid input. My goodness, this is kind of frustrating. Expressive code, custom CSS. I mean, we're getting to the point where we have like everything stripped out. At least that feels like it's even reasonably related. I'm gonna take out the links validator. And okay, so if we have a docs folder, I don't know if the topic things matter yet, but we might need to actually look at this config. Docs blog schema. We'll give that a shot. What does this look like? So if we say exclude blog, then auto generate based off of this. Directory guides. I don't know, like it could very well be that it doesn't like the nesting here, but also like it's auto generate. We might have to start with items, just like a base piece, and just do a specific item and then bring some of this back over as we go here. Okay. The auto generate feels like it's items. Okay. Label recipes. Okay, so we can auto generate in like a specific section. Let's try that actually. Okay, actually, that might be the piece that we're missing here, is that we are doing auto generate in the top level. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's where we were going astray here. So if we say plugin, and this is going to be in guides plugin, and I mean, in reality, probably want to auto generate all of these, right? Develop, learn, and develop, learn. Let's see what that does. Both. You need another opinion. I mean, full disclaimer, I am on the Tauri board, so take from that what you will. So I've just been involved with Tauri for a while, and I haven't had a reason specifically to dive into Electron. So there's sort of just a natural bias there because I've been just involved with Tauri and trying to help push it forward. I don't have like a strong driving use case for one versus the other otherwise. So everything that I work with in terms of like desktop apps at the moment is just mostly because I'm involved with the Tauri project. If you like Rust, or you are interested in Rust, or you have code that's in Rust, or could benefit from some of the speed that Rust could bring, Tauri is potentially a good option. You know, if you want to do everything in Node, that's probably one of the driving reasons that Electron is so popular. Have you used Astro before for documentation or websites? Yes, I have. I think myself and another, we spun up the Tauri docs a long time ago on Docusaurus, and then we converted over to Astro. I don't remember if I was initially involved with the Astro conversion, but I also moved my personal site over to Astro as well. So I have a fair amount experience with Astro and starting to like dig into internals and stuff. But like, just because I do, oh, I got cat fur all over me. Goodness gracious. Just because I have experience with Astro doesn't mean everybody does. So like, we have some custom pieces within Astro. Well, we're actually using Starlight, which is a plugin built, like it's an official plugin that works with Astro to build documentation sites. And we started using Starlight in the early days. So we have some custom code to do stuff. And the problem is we any effort in maintaining custom things like that means that we have less time to write docs and we have less time to actually work on the project. So the hope is that we don't have to do stuff entirely custom and we can kind of just use the thing that makes the site look nice. At least that's my personal goal. But also like this is open source, so at some level like folks are just going to do the thing that's interesting to them. So just because we save people time in maintaining or not having to deal with super custom stuff in the doc site doesn't mean that they will then end up spending the time writing a doc page or something. So it's not as clear of a trade-off as you are considering like when you make a consideration for a specific team that you're like paying or you're working for an employer that pays, like the considerations there, it's the trade-offs are a little bit more direct. If we do this thing, it means that my team can't do this other thing. It's a lot more fuzzy in open source. Hey Bogdan, good to see you. Astro is a static site generator, which is now a little bit more than static site. It was originally static site, and it was originally done in a abstract enough way that I could support multiple different like types of renderers, but they could then all still compile down to HTML, CSS, and HTML and CSS. So like without the JavaScript, and then on top of that, they built they've got like a plugin ecosystem, and one of the plugins that they made is Starlight, which is the like docs. It's an official plugin that is like built to handle docs websites. So in some ways, the expectation is you drop in this plugin, you pull in Astro, you drop in this plugin, you get a doc site. And we've mostly benefited from that. I do like it better than what we had with Docusaurus. It feels like it's doing, like there's less effort in maintaining custom stuff is what it feels like. But we did start using it when it was new. So the last couple upgrades have been a little bit more involved just because I think in some ways we're like stripping out this like custom code that we wrote to handle situations that we needed to support, but that hadn't been supported in the plugin yet. And I think at this point, a lot of those are. So if we can get this upgrade pushed through, I think that's going to save us some fair effort in the future here. This is still giving us issues though. Okay. So auto generate directory is guides develop. This has got a bunch of stuff in here. I guess there's a bunch of like sub stuff in here too. Okay. Plugin is easy. We're going to just delete this. We're going to delete this. The only reason I'm like deleting stuff here is because I just want to get something to render, and then we're going to like work backwards. If I can get a thing to render and I know it's going to render in a way that is going to work for our use case, we'll just start to bring these pieces back. The benefit of having a Git history, right? because this is not helpful. um, I mean, it's helpful that we are seeing an error before it is actually a problem, I guess. But also, like, okay. Let's get rid of this, and let's just make sure we don't have any other like special things going on here. I'm actually going to delete the blog for the moment. I just want to get this thing to render. Like, just render this one thing. Talk schema. Do I need to care about that? I suppose actually in reality, I can probably take that off too. See if we can get anything down. Oh my goodness. Invalid input. What is invalid about it? We have an array. We have a label with items. So in this case, our items is specific guides reference. All right, let's look at the configuration again. Topic configuration. So we have guides, icon, links, or link rather. The link when the topic is clicked. So that, I guess that's fine, because this would just go to like an index page or something like that. That's, sure, fine. But also I don't have that right now, which should also be fine. And then items. I haven't actually seen this auto generate anywhere else. I wonder if it's just a label items. It then accepts an array of topics to display in the sidebar. A topic can represent either a section of your documentation with its own sidebar configuration or a direct link to a specific URL. Okay, this is a good sign actually, though. The fact that they have this for multilingual, that is a very good sign. Okay, so there's a items, and then there's this sidebar item. Okay, and that links to the like default one. Collapsed label auto generate directory. I mean, that's a good sign that it's just using the generic sidebar. It accepts the same configuration. And it's doing an auto generate on that. And ID is fine, icon, badge, and then there's an exclude. And then this topics. Create a custom topic list. I don't think like, ideally we don't have to do that. It would be nice if we just don't need to deal with it, at least for the moment. So label, guides, icon, items. We have learn and plugin, and we're auto generating based off of guides, docs, guides. And there's a learn and there's a plugin. So there's no extra nesting. It shouldn't be doing anything special here theoretically. But it's not working. Label. Let us just double check. Is there any allow custom icons? I don't really. Okay. I'm not really seeing anything specific to do with. Ugh, can't hear. Sorry for the ASMR. Bogdan says, I love when tool makers create such helpful descriptive error matches. Invalid input. Yes. The that is definitely one of the things I really like about Rust. Rust analyzing VS Code is pretty good. Yeah, honestly, I've found it when I'm doing my Rust, if I can get it to compile like Rust Analyze says it's going to be okay, that covers a lot of the work that I would normally do in like running it or pushing it through tests and everything. Like the strict type system and the fact that it checks itself really well through that helps a lot. How do you manage multi-platform builds? At the moment we are not able to cross build. That's in part due to some like OS level restrictions. So there's not a way to like run one container and build everything. So what if there's a, I mean, we're looking at the docs right now. In the docs, there is a distribute and a pipelines. If you look at like GitHub or Kub Nebula Cloud, if you're into that, it has some examples. Mostly what you're doing, if you're doing GitHub Actions, is using the matrix, strategy matrix, which will allow you to run a pipeline or a workflow 3 times, once per platform. Typically, then what you'll see is that it will upload that somewhere. So in this case, it's doing the Tauri action and it's uploading it to a release. So it builds, it runs it 3 times, the build 3 times, and then it uploads it to a release is what this action's doing. I mean, at some point it would be nice to be able to figure out a cross build, but I know Mac has some restrictions, especially since we support mobile. It's going to be really difficult because there are restrictions that Mac puts in place where you have to build like a Mac or at least iOS apps, you have to run it on a Mac. I don't think there's any way around it. So like in theory, we could potentially do like a cross build that handles invalid input. What? That is frustrating. And like in theory, we could do a like a cross build just from a Mac, maybe. But also, we can try that. In theory, you could do a cross build from Mac, but Mac runtime credits are usually not the cheapest of the options. So, especially if you're using GitHub Actions, it's almost easier or almost cheaper to just not cross build. And then you get the build in parallel, which is also potentially beneficial. Yeah, on Windows, you can build for Linux and mobile Android and Windows, but for OS X, it's only macOS. Yeah. Yeah, about that. About that. I am not holding my breath. All right. So, okay, we're gonna try. There's items and points to a specific item. So, like guides, concepts. If we look further down here, docs, guides, concepts. These point to specific markdown files. I don't think MDX matters. I hope not, because that would not be fun. But let's try just doing this and seeing what happens. Oh, except I need to change this to items and the same here. And I need to delete you and put you in the square brackets. Whoop, whoop. Sure. Okay. I'm invalid input is not helpful, and why is it invalid? I mean, exclude? Is it the exclude? Is it because I don't have any docs pages now? Oh my gosh. I don't have the topic schema. We're doing a loader. We're exporting collections. This is in the content folder. This is source content.config. I don't think it matters. But I'm going to, whoop. Okay. Content.config. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to move it up. Because it seems to be like a thing. So source content config, like that seems to be the default, which is sure fine. I don't think it matters. Oh my gosh, what is the invalid input? What is the deal? And we have doc schema. All right, copy, paste, go. Except it's still using the topic schema. I don't actually think I need that right now, but also like I just want something to build. Why is it not building? It was before, but like nothing with loading, which is also an issue. Do I have to have the link in there? I don't know why that is open and partially modified, but you know, okay. $50 says it's odd. I mean, I don't hate Zod. Honestly, I really enjoy using Zod. And that's probably, it probably is some sort of runtime check happening, but just the air that's bubbling up is not helpful at all. Like this is not helpful. I need more information. Okay, so apparently that is a required value. Configuration, topic configuration. Okay, label required, link required. Items is apparently not required, which feels odd. Okay, sure. Okay. But this is still, the slug does not exist. Guides, learn index. Guides, learn index. Okay, fine, go away. You got one thing to render right now. Can you do that? Items. It has a label with items. If this doesn't work, I'm just gonna keep stripping it down. So these are like hard-coded ones, which are fine. So if we go to guides, 404. Okay, we need a trailing slash. Sure, that's fine. Okay, 404. Guides is not found. If we do plugin auto start, is that going to, are we going to find that? Hey. Okay. We have things loading. That is something. And now this is under the guides section here. And I mean, honestly, okay, yeah, sure, fine. Go. Okay. That's loading at least. Let's see if we can get the docs back. You. Okay. If I look in source content, docs. No, I don't want docs. I want blog. Where does blog start? Okay. So these are all the blog entries. I believe all the pictures will probably be in the blog. Okay. So this I think is the blog entries. Okay, blog. Content blog. Sure. That looks good. Now, and we actually still have that in here. And then we want the exclude. Missing date for blog entry. Okay. We also potentially need to come back to this. This is another complexity. What if we have two extends? I don't actually need the topic schema. So let's do this. I don't think I need the topic schema, but I think I do need the blog. So let's see what this does. Okay, that's Tauri 2.0 has a special component apparently, which is kind of annoying, but we're going to delete you. Goodbye. We can bring it back. Okay. 200. We're making some progress here. Hopefully. Nope. Failed to find the topic for the blog page. Okay. No topic. Hey, Paul. Good to see you. It's been a hot minute, eh? No topic. Makes sense because we want to potentially exclude because we don't want Starlight sidebar topics to control this. We want Starlight blog to control this. So if I exclude it per their example, fingers crossed that works then. Oh, it'd be so nice if we can get this working. And honestly, like, if this just works, I will be very happy. Okay, so we have guides with this. This all seems to work fine. And then if we go to blog, that works. Guides goes to start, which is fine. We will potentially need to like sync these up. So like that is potentially a thing. Because this needs to then specifically point to guides / plugins auto start. Okay. It's something. Here, let's put the start. Start is that section. Actually, let's bring back all of the plugins first. Let's make sure we can get all of the plugins to render in that section, and then we can go from the next step. Because then the other bit would be, see if we can check some localization real quick here. And if all of that is working, that's a good sign. Plugins here, docs plugin. We want to bring back all of the plugins now. So undelete those. that will give us a blog and a plugin. And I'm going to move that in here. Oh, that's not how I wanted to do it. I want to move all of these into plugin replace. And then delete that folder. Now, we are pointing to plugin with items. So we now need to switch this to the auto-generated version, which is this basically. Auto-generate directory. Okay, so we have plugins, and then directory is going to be guides / plugin. Now, in theory, this should include all of the plugins in that folder. We have one folder. Okay, and we got the little things, badges. Badges is the word I'm looking for. We got the badges, so that's working. That will let us do this, and then, but I don't actually want the link to go there, and I don't want it actually under guides. So if I say, what if I say my link should be this? So in theory, this should be under plugin auto start. No. So it is actually still putting it under guides, which is potentially something that we need to deal with, but we might be able to work with that. So if I then again move this plugin folder back up, we remove this. Now I say the directory is just plugin. Still doing some things. Now guides, plugin auto start, wood 404, because we don't have a guides folder anymore. Okay. And now if I look at the guides, this does go to the homepage. So that's fine, because that'll end up being like a starting here. So I think what we end up having to do is attach each of these to a specific topic. And we're either doing it through this or we're sticking something special in the front matter, which is kind of what we're already doing here. We have an items, and then we point to like this with more items. But we weren't using, I mean, we're using a little bit of the auto-generated, but it was not, we had to have all our own specific code to handle it. So we could potentially still do this and pull this in and then maybe use the like other switcher. I don't actually mind this style though. So I guess we'll have to see what folks are thinking about it. But we have blog and we're excluding that. So no pages in the blog are going to be considered for this topics. So we're only considering things in the plugin folder. And then the other section is going to be reference or references. And our link is going to be pointing to reference. I'm going to match these. So there's a ECL capability. I don't know that that's the one that we actually care about pointing to, but that's fine. Is it on the references page? It is just reference, but then our thing up at the top says references. So let's see if we can pull these back. If we can get these two sections working with a docs, because we can also do a if we just do the linky version, we can say blog, and this will go to blog. And honestly, information is fine for the moment, and I don't have any reference or items. The slug reference does not exist. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, let's hide this for the moment, and fingers crossed this loads. Yeah, localhost in the browser. These are the Tauri docs. We're trying to get so our Tauri docs are using Astro with Starlight. Starlight is a plugin on top of Astro that helps make docs sites. We were working on an upgrade, and the upgrade has been involved. So we're doing what we can to potentially alleviate some of that pain. This is interesting that it shows up here, but I don't hate it, honestly. Okay, so guides blog, because like in theory we could leave these up here too. I don't mind these up here, but also I don't think they're required. I don't know. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think we want to get an upgrade in so we can maintain it better and potentially delete some of the code that we had that was doing custom stuff. And then we can go back to tweaking and making it look nice, hopefully within the confines of, try not to have a whole ton of custom code. Because for the context, Paul, we had started this on an early version of Starlight. So Astro had been around for a little bit, and then we started. Then Starlight came out, which is a plugin for Astro, and we used it when it was newer. So we wrote custom code and CSS to do things that Starlight plugin hadn't actually handled yet. In upgrading, it looks like it's handling a lot more than it was before. So the hope is that we can just delete some of the custom code we had and just use what they've enabled. Because this upgrading it and trying to maintain all the custom stuff is proving to be rather involved. All right. I'm looking for the references. I just want to pull back the references and see if we can get that working real quick. And then I think that's where we're going to have to call it for the day. Here, docs reference, ECL, core permissions. Sure. I only really care about one folder for right now. So, or just the fact that we have this folder for right now. So let's pull this in and we'll see if we can get this new items. Okay, and this is in security, I think it was called. So we'll say security and generate. It is in reference /ACL. Okay, so we got guides, references, blog. This goes to the homepage. This goes to /reference, and this goes to blog. /reference. So this will end up being at /reference /ACL /core permissions, I believe. /ACL /capability. Okay, so if I open up this page and we go to core permissions, well, obviously we'll have to like make sure that these links work afterwards and everything, but hey, okay. All right, so no Tauri coding today. Yes, mostly just Astro. How do I feel about Astro versus React? Astro is more of a meta framework. I can give the 2-minute thing on it. Astro is a meta framework which doesn't explicitly require you to use React versus Svelte versus other options, Vue, whatever. Uh, what it is doing is it through plugins and their integrations with the plugins, it can handle any of those or multiple of those in a site. So I could have a page that is using Vue. I could have a page that's using React. I could have a page that's written in Markdown. All of those, in like the node part of it, we can take those and then statically generate HTML and CSS off of that. And then in each situation, you have the ability to opt into the client side handling of that as well. So if you want to write in React and you want to have React actually run on the client and do some like interactive pieces through JavaScript, you can opt into that. And they have there's other frameworks that do this, like Phoenix does. I don't remember what they call it, but there's what Astro qualifies as islands. You can designate or have parts of your page that opt in different ways. So your navigation in the site header and the footer could be statically generated, a single thing that is HTML and CSS, and that's it. But written or created via a React component or via their like specialish Astro components. And then just the core content could then be hydrated and run with Vue or React or whatever. And then theoretically, you can have one page use Vue and hydrate. You could have one page be React and hydrate. But then you're also shipping two different frameworks to the client, which doesn't, like, unless you have a specific reason to do it, it's probably not worth it. So what's nice is you can use any of those frameworks that you are familiar with to do the rendering and have all the like nice bits from that. But then you don't have to ship any of that. So like I've got my personal site on it. Mine is a combination, like I'm using the React plugin. So all of mine is all of my site is written with React and Astro components. I do ship a little bit of JS, but like not much. Honestly, I don't even know what's contained in these. Header.js. So I think there's potentially some little bits in here. If we look at like sources, maybe. Astro. Let's look at the header. A little bit ish. So it's not like completely removing all JavaScript. Is what it's at least with whatever setup I have. There is still a little bit of JavaScript, but it's quite stripped down. I haven't cared about optimizing performance of that, and like I'm okay with a little bit of JavaScript because there's pages that I have that like on some of these have things that can actually run client side. I don't see any of them here, but I haven't done a whole ton of work in optimizing. Either way though, it has the options to do that. So it's a pretty neat framework, and it supports it sort of brings a lot of the folks together, as it were, because you can use any of the plugins that you want and all of them if you really want. It's kind of neat in that way. We mostly use it though in the context of Tauri. We use mostly Astro components. Not too much code though. It's the majority of it is like tweaks and a little bit of CSS. So it's a little bit more like HTML template-ish plus some CSS. And then it's mostly just built on their like documentation framework thing, which saves us a lot of effort in theory. It like I said, we have some custom stuff that I'm hopefully getting rid of some more of the bits that we don't need that they now support in the more recent versions. So less maintenance burden. Either way, I would recommend checking it out. It's pretty neat. We just have a little bit more of a complex sidebars setup. Plus, it's built on top of Starlight. So uh, all of these things are technically possible, but the intent is that we want to do it in a way where we don't have to maintain like any of our code, at least as far as like the rendering and everything goes. If we can just toss Markdown at this thing and it handles most of the stuff with a little bit of tweaks on our end to give it the flair that we want, that feels like a great trade-off in my mind. Because I would rather have folks spend time writing documentation and working on the project than trying to maintain a site. Because it, you all know it could be a full-time job just maintaining the site. and potentially many people. So this looks like we can potentially work with this. I think we can potentially work with this. I'll run with this a little bit more. It does mean that we are moving away from this up here, but I think that's a reasonable trade-off to what we get back. If we can delete a whole bunch of code and we don't have to maintain anymore, then that's a win in my book. Okay. We're out of time though. I gotta run to a meeting. So that's where we're gonna end it. I haven't really thought about what we should do next week. This has kind of been top of mind, and I wanted to make sure that I could give it the time so we can push it over the line and start digging into other things here. I'll get something scheduled. Keep an eye on the hit the subscribe button and like and do all the things. If you're interested in getting involved, docs are a great way to do that. If you're interested in helping out or have any questions or anything, comments, hop in the Discords. Would love to see anybody get involved. But that's where we're going to leave it. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Appreciate the chit chat, and have a great rest of your week. I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.